Our second result, also in the Pacific, again, 4 people captured and 1 fishing vessel immobilized. 1,930 kilograms of cocaine seized, almost 2 tons. Now, our second point, strategy Orion, artificial intelligence. Next slide, please. Next slide, please. When you have many friends, strong cooperation, and you grow together, you must create new ideas. This means innovation, technology, and development. This is exactly what the Colombian Navy is doing with the multinational strategy and artificial intelligence. Let me show you how we use artificial intelligence in our decision. Next slide, please. Artificial intelligence support our decision-making cycle, observe, orient, decide, and act. We do this inside a global C4ISR concept. When we add artificial intelligence to our decision-making cycle, we can achieve a future command and control system where human judgment and artificial intelligence work together. In simple words, better decision made faster with the support of technology. To make this real, we are building a new coordination center. Next slide, please. To make this real, we are building a new international coordination center called CECOPI in the city of Cartagena. It will be ready in 2028 with full capabilities, and you are cordially invited. Its mission is to integrate all our platforms in one place for international operation coordination. This center stands on 3 pillars. First, a new infrastructure. Second, a high-quality database or data lake built over many years with alerts, position, captures, and maritime information. And third, artificial intelligence for prediction is the main. Just like today, I will host members from many countries and organizations. Now, our third point, the fighting against drugs. Next slide, please. In our fight against drugs, we work in several coordination areas, as you can see on the map. Each area is led by a different country in the region. We work together, sharing information and building joint products. These are the operational results of the Orion multinational strategy, closing the year 2025. Almost, you can see, almost 600 tons. They show our great effort against a transnational crime that affects many other countries. To go further, we are advancing 2 tools, the Code of Conduct Orion and the Special Maritime Interdiction Procedure. Let me start with the Code of Conduct. Next slide, please. The Code of Conduct is a flexible, no-binding instrument for regional maritime cooperation. It proposes 3 things. First, to build a shared legal framework against maritime organized crime in the Caribbean. Second, to close security gaps through cooperation and strong capacities. And third, to act jointly with shared intelligence and coordinate justice. The model followed the example of the Djibouti Code of Conduct, and it will be presented to the International Maritime Organization in next October. Our second tool is the Special Maritime Interdiction Procedure, PMAR. Next slide, please. PMAR is our Special Maritime Interdiction Procedure. For the first time, it gives a function of judicial police at sea. Next slide, please. I want to close with one strong idea. Only through international cooperation can we address this problem. Ioris lets us connect its tools with our operation center, and this makes us faster and stronger. In 2028, the multinational strategy will reach 10 years of work. Today, we are a regional leader in the fight against drugs. But no country can win alone. Together, through cooperation, we can defeat this transnational crime. Thank you very much for your attention. On behalf of the Colombian Navy and the multinational strategy, thank you. Let us keep working together. Ioris, thank you.
Thank you, Admiral. Another fabulous presentation. I like your point about AI and how we have to evolve and start thinking in another space. So what I'll do now is just talk about some of the things that is occurring in Ioris, some of the things that I asked you about at the beginning, about storyboards and lexicons, and just a little bit about our thinking without actually committing. So let's just talk about VOI tagging. Slide. So in essence, it allows us to designate vessels, and it allows us to designate vessels based on the threat they bring, whether it's a threat to national security, a threat to law enforcement, or a regulatory threat. So put simply, a vessel is no longer just a VOI, because how do you prioritise? But using the lexicon, we can prioritise based on the threat it brings. Slide. So we look at the VOI lexicon, and it's a threat to national security, a threat to law enforcement, a regulatory threat, or a new addition is sanction threats. Slide. So when we look at our picture and produce our recognised threat picture, all threats to national security will be highlighted with a red icon. Slide. Threats to law enforcement will be highlighted by a yellow icon. Slide. And regulatory threats will be highlighted by a green icon. So straight away, from a command perspective, we are now in a position to prioritise our threats. Slide. Including sanctioned vessels. And if you have a look at the lexicon, you can see if a vessel was designated a 2 Bravo, we can see that the vessel is a law enforcement threat, and it's been designated for prohibited imports, being narcotics, illicit tobacco, including precursor chemicals. This allows a commander to understand his threats. Commanders have limited resources, and it allows him to prioritise him or her about where to send that resource. In addition to that, we can classify the threat. Is it a high threat, a medium threat, a low threat, or is the threat negligible? Slide. So as you can see here, here's a recognised threat picture, and this is off the operational platform in the Pacific. We had wealth that's just come out of recently Taiwan, out of China, Taiwan, come down, had some interaction in the Solomons, and now is loitering in the Coral Sea. A number of other VOL lexicons that are up there that have been designated national security threats or threats in response to law enforcement. Thank you. Slide. The threats are also linked with the messaging. So you can search in the messaging and see what some notations or what notation that people have added to those vessels. So it gives you that immediate overview about who has tagged the vessel and why it's been tagged. Slide. 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 So when you set up your recognised threat picture, you can automatically see based on the colours where the vessels are that are threats to national security, where the vessels that are threats to law enforcement, regulatory and sanctioned vessels. Additionally, you can see there's a non-threat vessel. So it allows you to tag that vessel if that vessel isn't a threat, but may be subject to a maritime casualty or a man overboard. So it's easier to manage situational awareness. Slide. So this is last year. This is Dante, previously known as GIS Thunder. This is a rule operation. You can see the vessel has departed Ecuador back in early May 25, and it started to loiter around the 8th or 9th of May off the coast. And the vessel was reporting on AIS. That vessel then started having a second AIS signal being transmitted on that vessel. So we were monitoring this vessel as it come across with not only its primary AIS, but the secondary AIS was travelling at the same speed and the same course. So the assumption was that this vessel picked something up within this loitering pattern off the coast of Ecuador. As the vessel transited across, it got to a point where it's turned its primary AIS off, but someone forgot to turn off the secondary AIS. So we could monitor that vessel coming across, still doing 9 knots, without it being turned on. And the French ended up jumping on this vessel, and it had 2.5 tonnes of coke. Slide. Yep, so there was an erroneous AIS hit. As you can see, went up into St John's, it just kept going. Slide. This is a recent narcotic activity, being radar, small Y Nash, D'Oceano, that were all in the Pacific. This is January, February of this year. Total of 12 tonnes of cocaine taken off these vessels, and another quantity of cocaine found when the vessel Radar arrived in Sydney. Interesting. So if you need to look at this information from an MDA perspective, there's 3 things I always talk about: vessel, voyage, track. Tell me everything you can about the vessel. Tell me everything you can about the voyage, who's on board, what's on board. Tell me everything you can about how that vessel moves its track. Interestingly, when you have a look at vessels transiting through the Panama Canal, predominantly going to the west, a lot of them go north of the Galapagos. There is a percentage that comes south. So vessels coming south would be a good indicator that there's something happening. And you can see how they come in and hug the coast. And one turned off its AIS and started transiting across. The other interesting factor is when you start to look at vessels, these vessels are old, okay, recently sold. Small Y Nash is 82 years old. It was built in 1944. That is not coming to Australia or to the Pacific for a legitimate purpose. Radar was close to 30 years of age. So there's information that you've got to look at from an MDA perspective to understand what's occurring. You just do not look at dots on a chart, because if that's your MDA process, you will never get ahead. Slide, please. Slide. One of the things that we're thinking about is bringing in geospatial boundaries. And a geospatial boundary will allow us to set up a designated area, and this can be around a port, it could be a tripwire, it could be around critical infrastructure, and based on a vessel reporting on AIS entering that area, it'll trigger an alert to the operator. In this case, the thinking was, if we think of those other vessels that were operating off the coast of Latin America, and then I have a second boundary that they cross because it's been detected in 2 boxes, that would be an indicator that I probably need to look at this vessel. Slide, please. Slide. Just in the interest of time. One of the other things we're sort of playing with is utilising some AIS to support MDA. Slide. Like I said, when you start to understand a vessel, there's things that I need to know about. Who's the beneficial owner? Is there any imagery of the vessel? Vessel subtypes. Who's the technical manager? How does it move? Country of registration. Freezer capacity, time at sea versus freezer capacity. I've got to start thinking about all these things. It takes me 2.5 to 3 years to train an MDA analyst. I can't do it in this environment. So I looked about how I could speed that process up. Slide. 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 So using AIS, I tried to write some scripts on data scraping and bringing data in from the web. Slide. So I used ChatGPT, Claude, Gemini and Base 44, slide, and developed a number of apps. And these apps are in the sandpit where you can just put IMO numbers in, call signs, MMSI numbers, slide. And using prompt engineering based on a lot of these criteria, slide, we were able to use it within Gemini AI. So in this case, just using slide, the vessel's MMSI number, and I extracted the track of the vessel as a CSV file, slide, slide, imported them into Gemini based on the rules that I had developed, and it starts to produce an intelligence report. And this was on a Russian vessel that was coming out, going to the Pacific. Slide. And it starts to tell you the idea about what this vessel is likely doing. And this vessel had been targeted to go out and do maritime research, looking for nodules that are very important for critical minerals. Slide. It's assessed in relation to its beneficial owner. So using the algorithms, it's gone out because I want to know who owns the vessel, who operates the vessel, who's the beneficial owner, and their addresses. It's cross-referenced with sanctions lists, please. Slide. You can see this, the company's been sanctioned, slide. Movement history, slide. Deficiencies in relation to port state control boardings, slide. Indicators in relation to narcotics, people smuggling, biosecurity and sanctions, slide. Corruption index based on Transparency International and how they rate countries. Identified other vessels attached to that fleet. So if you only had the one vessel, you could look and try to find where these other vessels are. Slide. Including any special validations. Slide. Slide. The track analysis showing where it slowed down, some AIS offset at the beginning and where the vessel started surveying. Slide, slide, slide. Yep, slide. And link to imagery of the vessel. Slide. So that then produced imagery. Slide. This spoke about a sanctions risk to the vessel that then can be pushed out. And this is just a quick AI search based on the algorithms that were developed. Slide. And then produces it. All this is in a PDF report. Slide. Which you can then convert into an MDA storyboard. Slide. MDA storyboards are part of our training. Slide. One of the last things we're looking at, we get a lot of these emails that talk about these are all the things that are happening in the maritime space. It's a daily occurrence. But my struggle with that is how do I find what's relevant for me or my area? So again, using some AI, I looked at developing a map. And this will show up in relation to security operations, high threats, military sanctions. And you just click on one of these little icon pins, slide. Yep. And it just highlights a quick synopsis of the vessel or what's occurring, slide. And link slide to the news article based on open source. So it was just a way about compiling a whole lot of data and using it as a maritime data feed. What now? What now is, what do we do? What do we do collectively? What do we do individually? But that is it for my presentation. Thank you. So on behalf of Camario, I would like to thank my compatriots who've joined me on stage. Please give them a round of applause. Now, without anything to do, thank you. Slidle, sorry, Slidle, we have a Slidle working. Slidle, please.
So please check your app now that there is
What is that question, Alex? All right. Is your organisation involved in counter narcotics activities? So look, 75% is 3/4 of this room, and that is a very large component of this room. We right? We have 4 questions apparently. All right. We good? Next one. 10 answers. We only have 10 answers. We need more answers. There's about 130. You're too quick. Too quick. Sorry, Andrew. Oh, is this okay? Come. Yeah. We're good? All right. Thank you. All right. So, what are the current limitations and challenges in coordinating counter narcotics activities at the national level? So tick as many as appropriate. Is it political? Is it operational? Is it technical? Is it legal? Is it cultural? Or it's not applicable? And one of the things I say is that, look, MDA is a team sport. You're either part of the team or you're a spectator. So, you know, you need to be part of the team because when something happens, the spectators are usually left behind. Okay, is your organisation using Ioris for counter narcotics? And are you aware of the vessel of interest lexicon in Ioris? Now they are. Yes, thank you. Yeah. Well, I asked that question at the beginning and Alvino. We good? That's it? One more. Okay. Is your agency producing or sharing Ioris MDA storyboards? Okay, on that note, while you answer that, I'm going to thank my colleagues again on stage. And if you could give them another round of applause, that would be appreciated. Thank you. Thank you.
Sorry, I have a question for Admiral. I have a question for this in terms of working or getting the Pacific to work with your current efforts.
Yes.
Recording in progress.
Today, the Pacific roads is the main topics. We talk. We are talking with Australia, New Zealand, and Fiji Island. In this moment, the International Coordination Center is talk with these three countries, and our mission in this moment is can have all island of the east coast. Now we are we have identified four roads to Colombia, South Colombia, to Pacific. At 2024, we capture semi-submergible with 4 tons of cocaine. This semi-submergible have 4 points of fill, 4 points of fill in your route.
Yeah, thank you, Admiral. One of the things, the critical things that the Admiral just highlighted between the Pacific is we actually have a very good relationship, the Pacific and Latin America. It's probably one of our most active areas in the Pacific, and it's good to keep that going. Sorry, Admiral.
Good afternoon. How can we struggle with the fake reports? It doesn't have to be intentional fake, but it can occur an error. I myself identify a fake report in a vessel of interest. How can we struggle with this?
So how do we identify a fake report or the vessel of interest? I think we have to balance what we know against what we don't know to validate how to proceed. If someone's going to tell us something, they're going to tell us for a reason, either to put us off or to give us something that we can turn over the rock and there's a piece of gold underneath it. Struggling with false reports, I think that's part of the job. Any investigator knows that you're not always going to get all the information and people are going to not be truthful with you. I think that's just part and parcel of the business we're in.
Thank you, Cliffo. So now I really encourage you to continue these questions during break times and the dinners and especially tomorrow in the syndicate discussion. So please keep your questions for tomorrow where you can actually address them more freely and you can discuss actually with your partners in the region. Now, without further ado, knowing that we are delayed, I'm inviting the moderator, our colleague Gettinet, and speakers of the third session, which will focus on Ioris support to port security and safety, to please come to the stage. So everybody, please come here. So the representatives of the Chittagong Port Authority, Accelerate Energy, and Indian Ocean Commission. So now the floor is yours.
Thank you. Yes. Okay. Good afternoon. I hope you enjoyed the lunch break and the first session after the lunch. We are here for the, I'm here for the moderation of Ioris support to port security and safety. Before I introduce my panelists, we will have a Slido. Please open your apps and let's fill the Slido and see the statistics here. How many of you have interaction with port authorities? As I see, I think most of you have already interaction with port authorities, 83%, and it's growing. So I hope our session will be very interesting to all of you. We can go to the next, please. Yes. Do you communicate with vessels entering and leaving ports? The current challenges in communicating with port authorities. In this session, you can have two or more, you can tick two or more, not only one challenge, but there might be some more challenges related to legal, operational, technical. You are free to choose. Okay. While you are ticking, let me start my moderation. Excellencies, distinguished delegates, colleagues, and partners, good afternoon. It's my honor to welcome you to the important session on Ioris support to port security and safety. At a time when ports are facing increasing operational complexity, evolving security threats, and rising expectations for efficiency and resilience, timely, structured, and trusted information sharing has become indispensable. Ports are not only gateways for trade, they are strategic national assets. Their safety and security directly influences a country's ability to engage effectively in global commerce. Over the next 45 minutes, we will explore how the Ioris platform can support port authorities, harbor masters, customs services, coast guards, and maritime administrations. Our discussion will touch on practical applications such as pre-arrival information exchange, berthing and traffic coordination, incident reporting and response, navigation, warnings, and VTS support, hazardous cargo notifications, ICPS-related communications. We'll also reflect on how Ioris can complement or support maritime single window processes, contributing to more integrated and efficient port operations. Our objective today is clear: to identify practical, actionable ways for ports to strengthen coordination, enhance resilience, and improve preparedness and response. With that, Excellencies and colleagues, it's my pleasure to open the discussion. For this discussion, I'm privileged to be joined by distinguished panelists whose expertise spans port operations, maritime security, and regional information sharing. To my left, here is Captain Asif Ahmed, Assistant Harbor Master and Officer in charge of the Ioris SAIL, Chittagong Port Authority, Bangladesh, with expertise of maritime and port safety and security. The second panelist at the center, Mr. Antonio Mortorell, Global Security Manager, Deputy Company Security Officer, HSSEQ, Accelerate Energy, Dubai, United Arab Emirates. He is expert on maritime security, port and vessel protection, and maritime domain awareness. The third panelist is Captain Said Lavani, Regional Maritime Information Fusion Center, IFSC, Comoros International Liaison Officer, and he is expert on maritime safety, security, and maritime domain awareness. The fourth panelist is my colleague, You know him, Mr. Eli. He was here in the morning from EU Crimario, so he will join us later. I hope their combined experience will guide our conversation on how Ioris can strengthen port security, enhance operational safety, and support coordinated incident management across the region. With that, I will begin our discussion by inviting the first speaker, Captain Asif, to share the strategic value and practical experience of using Ioris at the port of Chittagong. Captain, you have about 8 minutes, so the venue is yours.
Excellencies, distinguished delegates, esteemed users of the Ioris platform, partners from across the globe, good afternoon. It is both a profound honor and solemn duty to stand before you today, not merely to present a platform, but to share a transformation. Bangladesh, a nation forged by river, sustained by the sea, and driven by blue economy, has turned digital vision into a tangible lifeline for our ports and critical energy infrastructure. This is not a software story. This is a story of partnership forged in purpose, of national ownership, claimed with conviction, and of visionary leadership that refused to wait for permission. From vision to action, Ioris for port security and safety, the Bangladesh success story. Let us begin with the stake. Bangladesh commands the maritime domain of 118,000 square kilometers, our exclusive economic zone and continental shelf. Over 90% of our trade flows through the sea. Our $485 billion economy depends every single day on the uninterrupted rhythm of maritime logistics. But here is the truth that ignited our ambition. Our maritime ecosystem was vast, yet untapped in unity. The Bangladesh Navy, Bangladesh Coast Guard, our ports, our private energy operators, each possessed formidable capability, each held critical piece of the maritime puzzle, yet they moved in parallel, not in concert. A security incident at a single LNG terminal no longer threatens millions in darkness because coordination is now instant, not eventual. A safety hazard at one berth no longer ripples unchecked across the economy because response is now shared, not siloed. We did not ask whether we could afford to connect. We asked, can we afford not to? And the answer propelled us forward. We did not rush. We built a foundation of competence before we reached for complexity. March 2025, a Crimario instructor physically traveled, which is Mr. Clifford, our instructor, to Bangladesh at our own Chittagong Port Authority Training Institute, hosted the inaugural Ioris course. The first time such training was held at a port's own facility, not in a foreign classroom, on our soil, in our house. 6 Bangladesh Navy officers attended the EU Crimario Train the Trainer course, planting the seeds of national self-sufficiency. March 2025, an induction course brought together 22 participants from Chittagong, Mongla, and Paira Port Authority alongside the Navy and Coast Guard. For the first time, they trained as one team. November 2025, the milestone achieved. Crimario designated Chittagong Port Authority as the national focal point of Bangladesh, a formal recognition of institutional leadership, verified data capability, and national ownership. This year, on April 2026, the Marco III fundamental course deepened operational skills, cementing a nationally led, locally owned training ecosystem by Mr. Beyonds. This was not a handout. This was a handshake between equals, partners united by a common maritime purpose. Next slide, please. Sorry for the technical glitch. And now, the headline achievement, the moment that validates every hour of training, every mile of advocacy, every ounce of persistence. For the first time in the history of Ioris, a commercial floating storage and regasification unit operated by Accelerate Energy is directly networked with a national focal point. Through Chittagong Port Authority's verified data infrastructure, that FSRE is now linked to the Bangladesh Navy and the Bangladesh Coast Guard. How? Through a dedicated Ioris community area. Ladies and gentlemen, this is not incremental improvement. This is a paradigm shift. Public-private operational coordination, never before achieved in the Ioris ecosystem. 2 years ago, we chose not just to install a tool, but to build a family of maritime security. Today, I'm proud to say the Chittagong Port Authority, Bangladesh Navy, Coast Guard, and National Board of Revenue, we are teammates. Ioris is our playbook. Here is the exciting part. While others are still planning, our NBR and Department of Shipping have already built a rock-solid national single window and maritime single window infrastructure. And CPS Sky is already live, working. And right now, we are on the verge of interfacing Ioris with CPA Sky as well as with the ASICUDA, then seamlessly into the national and maritime single window. That's not just integration, that's orchestration. And for incident response, we are planning to bring in the Department of Environment and Department of Fisheries, faster decisions, no finger pointing, real action. Imagine an oil spill or a fishing boat in distress, and everyone responds together in minutes. A disconnected port is a vulnerable port, but a connected team, it's unstoppable. Let me show you the transformation in stark terms. Before Ioris, phone calls, emails, fax machines, slow, unverifiable, untraceable. Response to an FSRE incident measured in hours, not minutes. No shared security pictures, training siloed by agency, by ego, by inertia. After Ioris, secure, time-stamped chat and alerts, real-time, multi-agency coordination, a shared map with live markers for threat and assets, standardized Ioris courses across every agency, Navy, Coast Guard, Port Authority, private operator. 3 lessons emerge, and I offered them to this committee with conviction. Lesson 1, technical. A neutral platform is the only architecture capable of building trust between government and private sector. No one fears intelligence leakage. No one suspects hidden agendas. The platform itself becomes the guarantor of confidence. Lesson 2, that is human. A passionate and senior champion, a national focal point with authority and credibility is non-negotiable. Technology without leadership is hardware without a heartbeat. Lesson 3, process. Train the trainer creates national self-sufficiency. We no longer depend on external courses. We generate our own expertise, our own instructors, our own future. The lesson for this committee is unambiguous. Success in 10% technology and 90% trust, training, and leadership. This is not where we stop, this is where we accelerate. Our forward plan is threefold. First, expand the model. We will connect all FSRUs and all major ports, Mongla, Paira, Chittagong, into a unified national Ioris port safety network. Every critical node, every vital artery, one integrated nervous system. Second, integrated in intelligence. We will pilot the proposed AI geofencing and automated notification for our LNG terminals. When a vessel deviates from a safety zone, the system alerts instantly, not after damage is done, but before catastrophe strikes. Third, assume regional leadership. Bangladesh offers its training infrastructure, its experience, its hard-won lessons to neighboring Ioris partners across South Asia. We do not hoard success, we multiply it. And I close this section with a direct appeal to the steering committee, because the private sector is not the adversary of security. The private sector is our indispensable partner. Let Bangladesh be your living proof. In closing, today an FSRU in the Bay of Bengal is safer because leaders choose to act. We invite each of you to Chittagong, Bangladesh, not to see a PowerPoint, but to see Ioris at work on the water, protecting our people, securing our prosperity, advancing our shared future, advancing together, safer ports, stronger nations. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Captain. You have clearly outlined the opportunities and challenges that require continued attention as we expand the use of Ioris for port security and safety. You have also mentioned the Bangladesh Chittagong port is a focal point of the Ioris and your intention of integrating Ioris with the maritime single window. Now I invite Mr. Antonio. Based on your experience, how can Ioris further support port security and safety, particularly in the context of industry-government cooperation? You showcase us your pilot project. Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah. Okay. Well, Jambo, good afternoon, everyone. Thank you very much, Crimario, for the invitation. Antonio Martorell, most people call me Tony, Global Security Manager of Accelerate Energy. My background, military. I was a Spanish Navy officer for 13 years. Then I joined and I served for Atalanta as a shipping advisor and GOC coordinator for 4 years and a half. And it's a real pleasure to see my admiral here. I cannot lie, I'm a little bit nervous that the admiral is watching, so I'll try to do a good job. So a little story about Accelerate. So Accelerate is a US based company. They're based in Houston, and they operate a fleet of 12, which is called FSRUs, which the captain already described. So floating storage regasification units. So to put it in a simple manner, it's basically a floating terminal. And what we do is we provide energy to countries that need it the most. We operate global, so we operate in South America, we operate in the Middle East, we operate in Europe, and in the APAC region. So the story with Ioris, how does it start? So we have 2 ships in Bangladesh, in the Bay of Bengal. As already mentioned, the names of the ships are Summit and Excellence, and they are in the Bay of Bengal, off Tohemskali, close to Coast Sabar. So these 2 ships have been providing energy to Bangladesh for years, and the challenge that we have been suffering was coordination. The reason is because these FSRUs, they operate in busy waters, so fishing grounds, STS, so basically ship-to-ship transfers, which are LNGCs coming alongside and delivering their cargo, and they are also subsea infrastructure. So for a long time, we were having issues to pass information in real time, and that's when we brought Ioris in. We brought, with the support of Crimario, we brought Ioris to connect our 2 ships with Chittagong Port Authority, with the Bangladesh Navy, and with the Coast Guard, and it has been working really well. Now we have one single and trusted platform to share information. So how's it working so far? It's working really well. The Chittagong Port Authorities is running daily communication checks that we all acknowledge in the platform. And even though this doesn't sound dramatic, for us it's doing the work, just knowing that somebody is behind watching. It's already covering the gap that we were suffering before. So we have also invested in training. Nobody at Accelerate will use the platform if they have not conducted the Crimario Ioris Lite training. We want to make sure they know the basics. So our ship security officers in Bangladesh, they are already trained on basic stuff like how to post a message, how to draw a marker, and how to share a report properly. So the value for us is simple. Anytime we see something happening, we will report in the platform, and the Bangladeshi authorities will acknowledge it. They will decide on who's leading, and from there, they will respond in the platform. And this has really improved and strengthened our partnership with Bangladeshi port Bangladeshi authorities. So what's next? Because the story doesn't end here. We have a project coming up in Jordan, and it's a pleasure to also to see some Jordanian representatives. We have already opened channels with Jordan to also set up a Ioris there, but we're also planning on doing the same in South America with our colleagues in Brazil and Argentina, which is also a pleasure to be connected here. So this concludes my briefing. Asante, I want to say I really enjoyed this part of my job. For those who know me, and really pleasure to be able to share it with the people that make Ioris possible. So thank you very much all. Asante.
Thank you, Antonio. You saved me some minutes as well. I really appreciate that. And you have highlighted the use of Ioris in various pilot initiatives in Bangladesh, Jordan, South America, which will offer a valuable lesson to our participants. The next panelist is Captain Said Lavani, who is a good friend of mine. He's working for the RMIFC. Recently, RMIFC has conducted a regional cooperation exercise on port security, Rocco Port, where Ioris was used exclusively. Could you share the key outcome and lesson learned from that exercise? So you are here, the venue is yours.
Dear Admiral, distinguished participants, ladies and gentlemen, on behalf of the Regional Maritime Information Fusion Center based in Madagascar, under the guidance of the Indian Ocean Commission and the financial support of the European Union, I would like, first of all, to express our appreciation for this opportunity to participate in this fourth Ioris Steering Committee meeting here in Mombasa. It is my pleasure to share our experience regarding the added value of the Indian Ocean Region Information Sharing Platform, known as Ioris, which has been used as primary tool during our exercise RICOPOT. So I will briefly highlight the key benefits observed and the lesson learned from its operational use during the exercises. What is RICOPOT? RICOPOT, it is a regional information sharing exercise for maritime and port security organized each year by the RMFC under the guidance of the Indian Ocean Commission and the financial support of the European Union in collaboration with Crimario. So the benefiting countries, the exercise is benefited by the Eastern, Southern African, and Indian Ocean member states. The RICOPOT took place in Antananarivo, Madagascar in April 2026 and brought together Port Management Association of Eastern Southern Africa member states, maritime operation centers, and regional centers. The objective of the exercise was, first of all, to improve port security coordination and information sharing between RMIFC, national centers, port, and to complete the maritime situational awareness from high seas to port. So the RMFC supported monitoring and coordination. Participating states handled operation response, while Crimario was provided Ioris technical support. This is one of the success story of the exercises. During the exercise, Ioris was used to manage simulated port security incidents, participating, exchange information in real-time coordination action, and provide joint decision-making. For your information, one of the success story of this exercise, last year we have organized the same exercise in a community area between Port and RMFC has been already created since the exercise of last year, Rico Port. So that community area, it is becoming a common operational space where all relevant stakeholders can access and exchange information between them before the arrival of the vessel in port. What we have been highlighted is that in many cases, delays to take a proper response to deal with maritime security is not because information is not available. It is because information has been shared across multiple communication channels, for example, institution, reporting system, and we jump into confusion, so we do not know who does what and when. That is why, at the RMIFC perspective, which promotes regional maritime information sharing across the Western Indian Ocean, one of the most significant operational gaps remain the timely sharing of information between the different actors involved in maritime and port operations. What are the lessons learned? One of the lessons learned from that exercise is that technology alone is not enough to address port security issues. Clear procedures and trust between partners are equally important for effective information sharing. That is why and maritime stakeholders need agreed procedures that define who shares information, what information should be shared, and under what conditions. In conclusion, the exercise report confirmed the operational value of Ioris in improving coordination and information sharing for port securities. Regional cooperation remains essential to address common maritime challenges. What is our expectation from Primario? Primario can continue to support the region through more training, regular exercise, improved interoperability, and stronger maritime domain awareness capabilities. This is my end of my presentation. Thank you very much for your attention.
Thank you, Said Lavani. As you noted, this year Rocoport provided an important opportunity to test the future of Ioris in port security and safety. Now I invite Eli, who is my colleague, to update us on the ongoing Ioris development for ports, including the integration of AI and other enhancements. The floor is yours, sir.
Thank you, Katinet. Yeah, back again. So now in this session, we're going to discuss the port variant of Ioris. And this is, for me personally, a very sensitive topic, as when the infamous explosion of the Beirut port happened, I was still in the Navy. I was leading the National Maritime Interdiction Operation teams. And I can tell you from a very personal experience that no matter how much you think that you are ready and you are very well coordinating with each other, when such a crisis happens, it's chaos. And it's not only chaos because of the amount of, because of the immense and the large amount of the explosions that happened in this case, specific case. It's a chaos because the communication systems that we use on the national level were very different. So all the authorities were involved, but no common ground just to look at the common operating picture at the same time. So that wasn't available, and that was a huge gap in that operation. So that's why in this presentation, I'm going to show you a little bit how Ioris Port can enhance. And please keep in mind, this is still a pilot project. We haven't yet started development. So if you have any ideas, share them with us. Again, in the first presentation, I showed you how we can switch between light and prime and ship. Now I've added port. So we can start switching between light, prime, ship, and port. Of course, not every Ioris user will have access to all of them. Depending on your responsibilities, on your background, you will have access to the appropriate Ioris variant. The Ioris variant, in this presentation, we'll talk about different ways of Ioris port variant, how it could support its users. First was the ISPS code requirements. Second was the FAL convention, interagency port security operations, shipping compliance, and incident management and safety-related coordination. We'll start with the ISPS code. First of all, the International Ship and Port Facility Security Code, for the purpose is to assist our partners, the authorities, port authorities, in the requirements of the ISPS, in terms of, most importantly, Part A, Section 1.3, which encourages the authorities of using digital systems in coordination and interagency coordination, and mostly between port facilities and law enforcement agencies, and also ships entering and leaving ports. The second, the FAL Convention, so the convention that facilitates the international maritime traffic. It also requires the proper communication, digital, fast, user-friendly between the ship and the port as well, through the 7 forms and through other means of digitalization of communication. The Ioris port variant could support that as well. We could mention also the digital submission of FAL forms. We could mention the facilitation of the maritime single window. We could mention the reduced paperwork and duplicate reporting, or the emails traffic that is still happening until today when a vessel is entering a new port, sending the declaration of security and exchanging information with the authorities in the country and the coastal state. Third, the interagency port security operations. The port security operations that everything that involves the port itself, between the port authority, the maritime authority, coast guards sometimes are involved, even police forces sometimes are involved. A lot of countries still have marine police. So all the actors could be members of Ioris Port and could use the system and the platform available for interagency coordination on the national level for all the port security matters. Fourth, the shipping compliance. Shipping compliance to improve compliance monitoring and risk assessment before the vessel arrival. Again, the vessel might have a different security level as the port itself. So the declaration of security might be important, might be or even necessary or a must for the ship. So Ioris can support in that, and Ioris port version could help the ship submit its DOS, and it could also help them share the port state control findings and the deficiencies. It could help also exchange information on safety, security, environmental compliance, conduct coordinated risk assessment, and support consistent enforcement across port and authorities. Last but not least, the incident management and safety-related coordination. And this is when crisis happens. This is when incidents might happen in a port. It might be a good also example to remind you of the incident that happened in the port of Aqaba in Jordan, when the container fell off with an amount of toxic, toxic chlorine. And there was a range of, I remember, 5 to 10 nautical miles of an area affected. So such incidents, they require a quick and already established ways of communication. So if these authorities were already using the same platform, were already training and conducting exercises, preparing themselves to the real case scenario, this case, that would be much easier for them to handle in a live situation than rather to find how to do it immediately when the crisis starts. So it could support in the key features the sharing of incident information in near real time. And I would say in real time even, because it depends on how quick the operators are to enter the information on the system. It depends on how well trained they are. If they are really well trained and very quick, the incident might be reported in real time and not even near real time, which is up to 20 minutes. Coordinate emergency services and response resources, support management of fires, pollution, accidents, and other emergencies, and improve preparedness response and recovery efforts. Now, again, as mentioned by my colleague Cliffo, we're also working on a second project called the geofencing, which is the geospatial boundaries that it might be integrated within Ioris. This would activate alerts for a specific vessel, specific criterias for vessels on AIS entering a specific area of interest. So you would be able to set up your area of interest, create your filtering system, create your rules system that might be very sophisticated. So you get alerted exactly when the vessel that you want to be alerted of enters the area of interest. But this is still, again, a pilot project as well. So the purpose is to use the geospatial boundaries to automate monitoring, alerting, and operational coordination within and around ports. The benefits, of course, alerting, virtual zones, and the alerts that would come to your email, and later on when the Ioris mobile app is activated that comes directly to your mobile, will be in real time. Whenever an AIS vessel enters this area of interest and matches all the criteria and the filtering that you have set, you will be alerted immediately. Next is to monitor compliance with port security and safety requirements, support dangerous cargo operations, enhance incident management, and improve maritime situational awareness. At the end, until the Ioris mobile app is active, the Ioris web app supports only email notification. When the Ioris mobile app is activated, that will also result in push notifications on your phones and not only email notifications in your inbox. Now, the last question is, if Ioris had an AI assistant, which everyone is talking about right now, AI is a big topic everywhere in the world on all the platforms. But if Ioris had an AI assistant tomorrow, what would you want it to do to help your port safety and security measures? I would request your input here in this session, and I would give the floor back to my colleague Getinet to lead it again. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Eli. I hope I have some spare minutes. I can take questions from the floor, very quick ones if you have. Any questions before I proceed to the Slido? Okay, there is one question from Andrew.
It's not a question. It's more just maybe coming from a point of not perfect knowledge on this one. But am I correct in saying, and you will know, getting in GISIS, in IMO GISIS,
yeah.
When there are deficiencies on there are errors found in shipping, they are held and regulated on the IMO, the GISIS system. And sometimes outside of when you're doing your port control, you would look at your profiling the vessel and you look at GISIS and you would find a vessel has been sanctioned, not sanctioned, it would have a fine against it. Helping answer the question, what is the correlation and how could we correlate and bring together what is on the GISIS system and make it available, transported linked to the very thing that you're talking about here? Or am I talking about something that I don't know? There are things I don't know, but it strikes me that there's opportunity here between the IMO GSIS system, which every port that must meet the ISPS coding has to abide by. And how do we link that forward? It's an observation. I don't know the answer, just putting it out there. Thank you.
Thank you, Andrew. As you know, IMO has a platform called GSIS, which is used for various kind of communication, but mainly communication between administrations and the IMO, and it has a public session in which the administrations can see any port set code detentions, defects, anything like that, and many more things. Ioris also might take some data from there, but most of the law enforcement here, they don't have the GSIS access. And if they have access, it will be in a limited version which is available for the public. It needs a membership access which is open mainly for the maritime administrators. In that way, Ioris can serve better but because most of the law enforcement agents like the Navy, the Coast Guard, even port authorities may get a better analyzed form of information which they may not get from the GSIS. However, GSIS is very important, especially it has avoided the manual communication between the member states and the IMO, and it's a very good platform you have mentioned. I didn't get you. Yeah. Okay, for Andrew, we will discuss in private, no problem. Okay, please.
Good afternoon. This is Captain Amr from Jordan Maritime Commission.
Yes.
I have no question. It is a comment on the last slide. Ili show us how AI can support Ioris, or how Ioris and AI can support maritime security. I believe through Ioris using the AI or together, we could have a full or comprehensive review about the situation, the information, the data we can gather by the system and others resources, and to have hints from the ISPS code or other regulations to have a correct and in time act.
Yes, now digitalization is now becoming, AI is now becoming a solution to many. So having Ioris equipped with AI will assist the port security and safety. Eli, if you have further anything to say more, let me give you the floor.
It could be an AI or a machine learning system.
Yeah, the intention here is to use Ioris for security and safety. If you noticed on the maritime single window, the security side is a bit sidelined. If I'm mistaken, Captain Asif will assist me on that. More on the facilitation, the maritime single window is taking care. But on the coordination of law enforcement, there is not much progress. So that's why we want Ioris to cover that one. And in some areas, like some countries, they are lagging behind with the maritime single window. So if Ioris can facilitate or assist or replace, that is also another future we are looking for. Okay?
But it's a quite good idea that we might not even have to use AI. We can use a machine learning system where the system has been taught to give responses related to the ISPS or related to the FAL convention. And that would be an assisting system to the authorities in each situation. So it could help the authorities know how to handle each situation apart, doing it on Ioris. But yeah, it's a good idea. Thank you.
Okay, for the sake of time, shall we go to the Slido? In the meantime, the photographer can come and take our picture until the Slido is filled up. You come. Okay. Okay, the first Slido question is, do you think Ioris can provide solutions to address poor security and safety? I have seen that 87% have said yes, which is really good. And 0% say no, and 11% unsure. How many people answered? Can you see? Okay, I go to the next question. Do you think Ioris can provide solutions to address port security and safety? That's the first question. Would you like your organization to participate in the Ioris port variant working group? Are you interested? If you are interested, say yes. 74%, and it's growing. Okay. All right. Allow me to express my sincere appreciation to our distinguished panelists, to the organizers, and to all participants for your valuable contributions and continued engagement on this important agenda. And thank you. Have a good day.
Thank you very much, Getinet and speakers. They were very inspiring presentations. Let's take a picture. Okay, so now we discussed internally and we are going to propose a change in our program to catch up with the agenda and still be in time, finish in time, so you have also a little bit of a window to relax. We are going to move one session of today, we'll move it tomorrow morning, and that is the session on sanctions and fastly flagged vessels. We'll move that session for tomorrow morning and we'll start tomorrow at 8:45. Okay? So everybody to know tomorrow we start 8:45 to catch up with everything. I hope you agree with this proposal. And if so, we are going now back in time. That means we'll have a coffee break now for 20 minutes. So please be back at 16 hours sharp. And we will start with the session on Ioris support to search and rescue. So please enjoy the coffee, but please also be back in time. Thank you very much.
Download Glovo, order food, groceries, or anything you want and track it until it arrives in minutes.
So my game when I used to be employed in other roles, I wanted to take all the questions off my admin. I wanted to show them I was thinking. So my AI search allows me questions associated with how long's been at sea? When's it likely to return? This is an IUU vessel that was operating in the Southern Ocean. You're not being positioned in this process off the west coast of Australia. So now it's coming back in. Yes. Yes. And that's it. So it's all prompt-based. So all you would do is type in your IMA number, all right, and then see it. What I've found is that the more complicated made my algorithm, the more it broke the system, all right? Because and with something like Gemini AI, it has to give you an answer. It could be the wrong answer, but it has to give you something. And then you say, this is wrong. And you go, oh, I know, sorry about that. That's a response you get. All right, so I try to reduce those, and right, so then I talk about agents, and my thinking was, so if we could, you said you click on this button, and you click on this button, this gives you this set of responses, the sanctions. You click on this button, this gives you this set of responses, are you fishing? All right? Because are you fishing? Why do I know the business freeze capacity and time at sea? Because if it's at sea for 3 months, it's capacity of 8 tonne, it must be operating somewhere. So you go vessel. Why? What's happening? All right, so those sorts of things. Yes, absolutely. Yes. No, it has to be a human in the loop. No, and never will, because what even from he is sure, he's intelligent sure. What they do, checks and balances they do, and why is it a vested interest in the first place? We're even considering there must be an intelligence tipper. Right? So you've got to look at that and see if there's something there you can do there. All right. Again, this comes back to creating a position of decision superiority. So I have my spider senses, and I just don't have that critical element. Okay. Just watch it. Mark it as a VLI, monitor it. Yeah. All right. Absolutely. Because what I don't know, what I don't have today, I may have. All right. And I tell everyone, tactic patients, we don't need to be there now. All right? This is developed the future. So, all vessels, so we have AI in Ioris. They would be this whole section vessels should. It needed a whole lot of experience, but it should go through. If you have like a number in the database, or run the tag. That's what happened. Well, we wouldn't see it. This is all else. We would see it. Absolutely. We're in a unified area. Right? So we bring these people in. All right? So in the Pacific, absolutely. So why in the Pacific I support it? Was every day because it's not wrong. The last time I pushed my own Ioris, and they then I know I just can't say here's the capability. I hope they're going to use it because I'm trained. I spend to support them. And it's really more capability use of numbers unless that's supporting and encouraging. But, you know, I think they said the greatest tool in Americans she's much softer and allows you to open doors of the all right. Absolutely. So I actually wrote a LinkedIn post yesterday. It was very challenging. I think about what is success? What is success? Right? Because you know we seize more drugs, we have more press releases, we have more political statements, we do a festival, but there's no credit prices going down. Well, it's not going up. All right, it's not becoming more expensive. All right. So our indicator right now, globally, is what do we see? Should be how we in the market, and our thinking should be how do we restrict the freedom of movement from transnational crime? How do we force them to make decisions so they're more visible to us? How do we make them take the risk? The vessels I showed you, they're buying them. My 82-year-old vessel, a 30-year-old vessel. It's the throwaways. They don't care. Because what happens is everyone's putting their resources in to get 4 ton of coke when there's probably 20 coming here. But we're doing our post. And I think we're being played by the carpet. But they're saying this we've just sold it. Here's the record. It's 30 years old. Here's the record. It's shooting fish in a barrel. This we're in this barrel. They're over there is filling up all their barrels. So I think the dynamic of this space needs to change. It needs to be, we need to test that for you.
We need to adjust the seat now.
Yeah, it's very cold.
Is it getting too
Now taking us away from Mombasa. Let me get myself up.
yeah.
Good evening. We are about to begin. Please let us be settled. Distinguished delegates, we kindly request that you get into the room. Welcome back.
You please 30 seconds and you can start.
Distinguished delegates, we are now moving towards the tail end of today's program. I have the honor of inviting on stage Mr. Martin Kauke Inglot, Director in Primario. No, sorry. I welcome on stage Mr. Nick Kassa, the Deputy Director.
It's the search and rescue one.
Oh,
Search and rescue one.
okay. Which one? Where is it? This one.
It's
Oh,
Matt.
it's Captain.
Matthew. Yes.
Captain Matt would be okay.
Sorry, I think I am more excited to end the day more than everyone else. My apologies. So I welcome on stage Captain Matt Shank. I hope I got the pronunciation right. He's going to be moderating on support, search and rescue, that is SAR. I also kindly request the panel to join him on stage. Thank you very much, and sorry for the confusion.
Thank you. I feel honoured to be compared to Martin and Nick, so thank you. Good afternoon, everybody. We're glad to be back from coffee break. So it's a complete privilege to be asked to moderate this session. Search and rescue is a very large growing area of where Ioris is being used. And I've had the great privilege to see how effective Ioris is in the rejects that we've been involved with. What's interesting is maritime domain awareness, whether it's in law enforcement, whether it's in search and rescue, it's the same. It's that information sharing. So a lot of the skills that are used in law enforcement, in counter narcotics, are also used within Ioris for search and rescue. And that's because it comes down to non-technical skills. Throughout my career, I have found that it's never the technical skills that fail in search and rescue. People know how to drive boats. People know how to pull somebody out of the water. But the non-technical element is usually overlooked. It is the most important part of search and rescue. And that is where Ioris really is, in my opinion, the tool of choice for search and rescue. So without further ado, I'd like to invite onto the stage before we go to the Slido, Mr. Simon Kunis, the Senior SAR Coordinator from NMSA Papua New Guinea, Lieutenant Commander Oscar Abad from LATAM Peru, Mr. Mohammed Hassan from Somalia, Director Maritime Safety and Security, Mr. Bjorn Bernes, EU Crime Area Exercise Planner, and of course, last but by no means least, Mr. Eli El Sayer, Training Manager from EU Crime Area. Where you like. Whilst the team are assembling on stage, if we have a look at the Slido, so pretty simple question. Does your organization have search and rescue functions and responsibilities? Hopefully the Slido will start showing some answers. If we go on to there, there's an issue. Oh, there is no issues. There shouldn't be any issues. Has everybody managed to get on the Slido app? Service is closed. Now it's okay, good. Or the what? Very good. Everybody passed. There we go. When we talk about maritime domain awareness and we talk about search and rescue and situational awareness, I've been involved in a number of legal cases as an expert witness, and one of the things that comes out of a lot of these cases is the lack of information sharing and the lack of situational awareness between agencies. If we look at the conventional search and rescue model, we have an MRCC in one country here who operates with their own systems, with their own procedures, with their own communication systems. And then you look at another country and they do the same. Ioris bridges that gap and stops that isolated working. So the second question, which I can see you're all answering already, is what are your limitation and challenges in participating in Ioris, in SAR operations, if at all? Operational, technical. Lovely. So conscious of time, so whilst you are finishing answering that, I'm going to hand the floor over to Mr. Simon Kunis, the Senior SAR Coordinator at NMSA Papua New Guinea. Thank you very much. Now, Simon. Thank you.
Good afternoon, everyone. I know it's going to the afternoon. Please keep awake. I'm not really a good speaker, but I'll try my best. Okay. Yep. EU Primario Director Martin Kochi, Iglot, Kenya Coast Guard, our maritime authorities from different countries here, delegates, head of delegates, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, and Ioris family. I am privileged to represent my country, Papua New Guinea. I come from I am with the National Maritime Safety Authority of Papua New Guinea. Sorry, I just go to get my slide. Give me a second. Yeah. Okay, sorry. Yeah, first slide. NMSA means National Maritime Safety Authority of Papua New Guinea. It comes under the Department of Transport, and pretty much the key elements for the presentation for the search and rescue presentation by me this afternoon is presenting agency. My agency is a Maritime Rescue Coordination Center under the National Maritime Safety Authority of Papua New Guinea. Yep. Can we go to the second slide? I'll be discussing two case studies. Some rescue coordination that we used Ioris to do the coordination with the situational awareness by using Ioris platform. Okay. Okay, the first case study was three persons on board. Most of the incidents in PNG waters, coastal waters, is usually with small boats below 10 meters. With the systems capabilities we have, sometimes the systems are, because it's subscribed or being paid for, some systems don't work. So Ioris has played a vital part when Ioris got introduced to our agency. So we have used Ioris to use the satellite AIS in terms of collecting the information, the last known position, the coordinates of the missing boat, to plot the custom markers and sharing it with the other agencies like the Water Police and PNG Customs. Those information collected, we use them to non-Ioris users like the regional partners, including JRCC Australia and other Solomon Island and other partners. Can we go to the other slide? Okay. Okay. So the first case study, the coordination center, we use the Ioris platform to share the information with the messaging, communicating with the other agencies like the Customs PNG and Water Police to share the information. So if the incident is with the three was reported drifting near the Fly River mouth. The immediate alert, platform alert, was the PNG MRC duty officer who generated a live incident on the Ioris platform. So real-time engagement, local partners, which is I've said, Water Police and PNG Customs services instantly acknowledged by doing the ACK on the Ioris when the Customs and Water Police will use the Ioris systems. So the core value is the Customs verified vessel data, while Water Police also acknowledged and what's start to stop the duplicating of the effort. Can I go to the next slide? Okay. So this case, the case study one, achieving the collaboration with the non-Ioris users, like I said, with the sharing the information from the Ioris information collected by the duty officer or the search and rescue coordination with external responders like the Queensland Police, JRCC Australia, who are usually in ND to do the drift modeling mapped estimated sedge area after the collection of the information through using the Ioris, using the satellite AIS, and providing the information to the JRCC Australia to do a drift map model sedge area, who send it back to us to do the local sets, or otherwise, sometimes we request for the aerial sets from the JRCC Australia by using the same information. And by using the information we collect from the Ioris, we send it down to Australia to do the drift modeling, the sedge area. Then for the case one, the 3 fishermen were found near the Fly River. It was because of the information used using the Ioris. Otherwise, there is no other back and forth communication system where, like an AIS, with other system where we use like AIS DICE system where provided by Australian government. There is no back and forth communication, unlike the Ioris, which helped the PNG MRCC to locate the 3 local fishermen near the Fly River mouth. Okay, yeah, what I was talking about is the drift model and the map. After we collect information using the Ioris, that is the kind of map you can see on the slide, where the drift or the sedge area is produced by the capability systems that the Australia search and rescue partner have. And when they send it back to us, we concentrate the sedge area like that on the map, drift model. Next one. Yep. The same thing is case number 2. It's a pretty same area. There's 12 fishermen that were fishing near the PNG border and the Australian border, Torres Strait, where the 12 fishermen ended up in Torres Strait, and it became an international border shift operation where we had to negotiate, communicate with our foreign affairs and the foreign affairs to Australia to tell the JRC Australia, the Australian Border Force, of the information that the center was collecting from the Ioris systems. If you can put up the slide where there's a map, the screenshot, slide up. The other one, please. Yep. Okay. That's the map that we sent to JRC Australia. We'll get the situational awareness for us to make the decision to find or rescue the missing people at sea by using Ioris. So we appreciate Ioris more continued support and to be used throughout the PNG and also the Pacific. Thank you.
Thank you, Simon. Next, we have Lieutenant Commander Oscar Abad from LATAM Peru. So thank you.
The next one, please. Good afternoon, representatives of Crimario Project, admirals, distinguished guests, colleagues. I am Lieutenant Commander Oscar Abad, representing to Peruvian Maritime Authority. It's an honor to be here today and to share some successful search and rescue cases, highlighting how Ioris contributed to information sharing, coordination, and the management of these kind of operations. Next one, please. First of all, I will briefly introduce how Ioris has been implemented throughout the CAPI. Then I will share a few successful search and rescue cases and highlight how Ioris supported information sharing and coordination among the different stakeholders involved. Next slide, please. Peru's National Maritime Authority, the CAPI, has expanded the platform used across its 9 maritime Coast Guard units, 5 regional commands, and 19 port captaincies. Next slide, please. Through the Ioris platform, the CAP exchanges information with both national and international organizations. In addition, we continuously provide training and capacity building activities to other institutions in order to promote the effective use of the platform and strengthen information sharing. Now, I would like to present an important case that took place in 2024 involving the sailing vessel Boreas of Rhodes. Next one, please. In this case, a crew member was rescued approximately in 1837 nautical miles of the coast of Peru. After receiving the distress signal from the emergency position indicating radio beacon appeared, the Peruvian Navy Rescue Coordination Center established contact through the Ioris platform with the Colombian Maritime Authority because a fisher vessel called American Eagle was near to the zone. The Colombian Maritime Authority then coordinated with the Maritime Agency representing the fishing vessel American Eagle. As a result of this coordinated effort, the American Eagle successfully rescued a sole crew member aboard the Boreas of Rhodes. The rescued person was later safely disembarked in Balboa, Panama. Next slide, please. As a result of this case, the Coast Guard Operation Command issued a letter recognizing the importance of Ioris and its capabilities. In this particular operation, the platform played a key role in supporting coordination efforts that ultimately helped save a human life. This another successful story also is not specifically a search and rescue case, but it demonstrates the value of Ioris in maritime monitoring and international coordination. The swift flag sailing vessel Bobadilla Solo Navy departed from Callao, Peru on November 12, 2024, bound for French Polynesia. In March of 2025, monitoring through the primary surveillance system was lost. However, monitoring was successfully maintained through Ioris, which served as a redundant monitoring system. This enabled the timely and secure transfer of monitoring responsibility to the French maritime authorities, ensuring continuous oversight of the vessel throughout its voyage. In this slide, you can see our communication through the Ioris platform with maritime authorities of French Polynesia. This case highlights how Ioris can support maritime domain awareness and ensure continuity of monitoring even when primary systems are unavailable. Next. The next one, please. Well, this is my final case. This is another successful search and rescue operation involving the fishing vessel Mi Juanita, which took place between March and May of 2025. On March 12, the fishing vessel Mi Juanita departed with 5 crew members on board without authorization and without required safety equipment. The vessel was last seen on March 16th. As a part of a search planning process, it was assessed for that a vessel might have left Peruvian jurisdictional waters. Therefore, on April 25, coordination was established with the Maritime Rescue Coordination Center of Ecuador, requesting support for the ongoing SAR operation. After 56 days at sea, the few crew members were successfully rescued approximately 300.5 nautical miles southwest of the Galapagos Islands in international waters. The next one, please. This case and these cases demonstrate the importance of the international cooperation and timely information sharing in achieving successful search and rescue outcomes. They also show how Ioris serves as a valuable tool to coordination and information sharing, helping maritime authorities work together more effectively. Thank you. Thank you for your attention.
Thank you very much, sir. really good examples of how Ioris is truly saving lives. Thank you. So next we have Mr. Mohammed Hassan from Somalia, and he is the Director of Maritime Safety and Security. Over to you, sir.
Good afternoon. Distinguished participants, guests, and my colleagues, it's my honor to present in front of you on behalf of the federal government of Somalia. I'm sincerely appreciate to the European Union, especially in Crimario, and the Ioris committee for organizing this important meeting. I would like to extend my gratitude as the co-host country, Kenya, our brothers. And as a federal government, this event values the opportunity to strengthen our maritime security and information sharing and operational cooperation across the entire region. Somalia joins to the Ioris through its engagement with the Crimario and Regional Maritime Security Initiative. This platform has become an important tool to support as a Somalia national maritime domain awareness. So thank you for your Crimario. So without this platform, our maritime domain awareness is to be very severe. So I would like to very briefly, statistically, to show you our SAR activities in the first quarter 2026 within 3 months. So we see that 6 accidents was happened during the 1st January to 1st March. So one was in January, is a vessel grounding. It's a dog was carrying for livestock. In February, there's 2 incidents. One was aviation, and the second one was the vessel of interest. And in March, it was 3 incidents. One is fire on board and capsizing and adrift vessels. So I would like to shed light from more. So this estimated to 50% of half of the incident was happening in the March. So next slide, please. Let me take an example. One of 2 or 3 events that have been mentioned in the previous slide. So in this motor vessel of Integrity Star, it was a drifting. The MV Integrity Star is it was a drifting, an incident tracked on 21st March in 2026. The vessel was reported as a completely drifted and abandoned with the Somalia territorial water, roughly 7 nautical miles offshore the coast, and approximately it was the 70 nautical mile from the northeast on Mogadishu, the capital city of Somalia. So the ship was experiencing total blackout without no Ioris and no navigational light. So as you see, this was this drift was come from a longer time. The crew was abandoned to the area of Seychelles. So it was one of cases for that we are dealing to as a emergency in Somalia. The next slide. This one of the critical incident that's happened in the first quarter. It was an aviation crashed an airline after takeoff to the Mogadishu airport, subsequently crashed out, and in the shallow water. So the Star Island crashed out in the shallow water on 10 February in 2026. This incident was beyond aviation incident. It's upon receiving the notification on the crash, NRC immediately activated emergency response protocol and stepped out, assuming a vital role for search and rescue coordination mission. So we developed interagency via collaboration, Ioris. We developed OPCA on the Ioris platform with the cooperation with the different stakeholders that Somali Police Force with the Department of Coast Guard, aviation, and other organizations that has been dealing with this. So with the cooperation of the different sectors, we did a seamless communication across the different actors. So the total number of this island on board was 60 persons. 49 was an adult, 6 were children, and 5 crew. So we rescued safely on that incident. Next slide, please. Yeah, I mentioned this was the rescue. You can go the next. So let me conclude on the one other incident. This is a Cospasat aviation activation on 27 May. This was the last one. It was received from the Cospasat. It is an incident that a vessel was sending by an alert that has a cause. So let me conclude to this. So I would like to, as a federal government, support expanding its participation of this steering committee. So stronger integration and coordination center for Somalia and improving our maritime domain awareness and sustainable as a nation ownership for the SAR. So in my conclusion, this is the as you know, every one of you, this is the map of the SSR. So Somalia still did not declare it. It is SSR. So the area that you see here is a residual area that after each state members has been declared. So, but now as a government of Somalia will submit it is SRR through the IMO. So we will declare our SSR region. So this area now we are responsible as it's a kind of residual, or I can say it's a leftover area that we are responsible right now. So in my conclusion, as a federal government and FMS, we committed to strengthen the maritime safety and security through cooperation, coordination, and shared responsibility. I would like to thank you, all of you, especially Cremario. I would like to also to take this moment to extend my very special note thanks to my brother and Master Andrew, who has and his waving dedication, mentorship, and invaluable counseling have been instrumental in guiding my team to MSSC and in a complex strategy. Thank you, Mr. Andrew. I appreciate you. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And yeah, interesting to see the range of SAR incident types that Ioris has been useful for. Next, we hand over to Mr. Bjorn Berners from EU Crimerio. Over to you, Bjorn.
Yes, so it's not Burns. There's another poet from the UK. It's Burns. Thank you very much. All right. Let me just push start. Admirals, heads of delegation, directors, ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for this opportunity. I want to assure you it's the second time I come on stage this week, but there will be no dancing involved. So don't worry, please keep in your seats, don't run away. What I'm going to talk about, first slide please, What I'm going to talk about is the DCOC SAR rejects, and that took place 10 to 14 November 2025. Moreover, the topics were going to be scenario, objectives, the participants, the expected end state, the actual exercise, some lessons identified, and I'll end up with a conclusion on my side. So first of all, the scenario. The rejects had two scenarios running. One of them was a SAREX with the expert guidance of Matt as well here. It was an airplane that took off from quite an international hub that went to South Africa and never arrived. I'm not going to go in detail. The ship got lost, the airplane got lost. Contact was broken somewhere for the first time around Somalia. And then it was up to the participants to figure out, due to the injects, where the actual debris, where the aircraft went down. So quite difficult sometimes. The objectives were to have a stronger cooperation. Next slide, please. Were to have a stronger cooperation and communication between DCOC members, an enhanced operational relationship between countries and also agencies from different countries, but also inside the same countries. There was shared lessons that were documented and distributed across the region. We practiced regional architecture SOPs as well as Ioris SOPs in a realistic environment. Interagency coordinated response was also practiced at national and regional level. And then also a whole aspect of SAR awareness and all its complexities, like overlapping responsibilities, capability of each nation. There's a difference. Some people don't have access to drifting models. Then they can coordinate through Ioris with other countries who have access to these tools, where it could be shared and where they could receive a proper indication where the search would be needed. There were some confusing reports as well, mainly due to injects from XDIR. I'm devious sometimes. Creation of a SAR plan was also important. Use of SAR tools and mass casualty handling in case they were discovered. Next slide. And next slide. There were 7 countries participating, 25 agencies, and over 100 people were involved during this exercise. So it's quite intense for the next 4 days. Next slide. And next slide. The expected end state was to have an effective combined SAR approach. Assets would have been offered, but also used. So if countries had assets that could reach the scene, and it was not an asset that belonged to the agency that was in the lead, it would be offered through Ioris, and it would be coordinated by the lead SAR agency. Participants would have collected, analyzed, and shared enough information through Ioris so that a SAR plan could be established and an effective response could be given. The regional architecture, of course, had to be practiced as well. Next slide, please. And next. A little overview of how it started. So we got information around Somalia that was the last communication, last radio communication. The aircraft reported that they encountered heavy weather and they asked for a different route. Then all communication was broken. No possibility to re-establish. So that was the point where it initiated, so where the search could start. Then you had to see what was the course, the height, and everything of the plane in order to determine where it would happen. Over the next days, more and more injects came in with debris, with people in the water, corpses, and until it ended rather north of Madagascar. So it was a huge geographical scope with a lot of challenges for the participants. Next slide, please. And next, lessons identified, a few of them. So we identified that it's very important that there's clarity on the lead agency. It needs to be declared in Ioris, and if there's a handover of responsibilities because sometimes the incident moves to another SRR, it needs to be clearly defined and handed over on Ioris so that everybody is aware and everybody knows who's in the lead right now. Asset management was very important as well. So you had countries who had assets, and it's very important, as Matt always indicates as well, to declare that you have assets, but also when they can leave and when they could be on scene so that the lead agency could plan a corrective approach. Cross-check of data. When you receive data, it could be conflicting. People could be in stress or in distress, might give you the wrong data. If you have coordinates that are wrong, check them. Or if you have coordinates, check them to see if they are correct, if they could be possibly correct. Anticipate events. When you get this information, you get a course or you get maybe a point where something has been seen, then you can calculate with your drifting model where your next search area would be. So this is important as well, also over the next couple of hours, days maybe. So it's very important that you can anticipate where you might expect the next action to be. And as I said earlier, not all countries have the same tools at their disposal. That was a lesson identified. So this is something that you can share through Ioris. But if you want to go to the conclusion, please, next slides. It could be also very useful to have a tool that is dedicated for it. Now, Ioris, as Matt already said, has proven to be very effective in SAR, mainly in the coordination and the sharing of information. But new features could be added to serve the SAR community. A dedicated SAR version would be a huge help, where you have all the tools and all the agencies and countries linked together. That could be an extra added value, so they don't lose time in trying to get information from other agencies. And that concludes my brief. I don't know if there's any questions, or otherwise we'll leave them for Matt. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Bjorn. I'll just call you by your first name. Last, but by no means least, and hopefully I say this right, Mr. Eli El-Sayed, our very own from EU Crime Area. Thank you, Eli.
Thank you, Matt. Yes, here I am again. I'm sorry for that. So Bjorn called an Ioris SAR variant, and we're answering the call, the Ioris SAR variant. Again, starting with the variants, we discussed ship, we discussed port, and now we're discussing Ioris SAR, search and rescue. SAR variant, we'll discuss 4 different areas where the SAR variant could assist MRCCs and SAR responsible authorities. First, by a regional SAR dedicated community area. Second, with the compliance with the IAM-SAR Volume 2, mostly for mission coordination. Search and rescue region as our layer on Ioris. And at the end, I'll give back to Matt to explain a solution called SolNet and SARI integration within Ioris. Again, this is all a pilot project. This is we're still brainstorming, gathering thoughts on how we can make this variant the best possible. So development has not yet started. 1, an Ioris SAR community area would be dedicated, would be an already established and running and active community area where all the SAR actors, like MRCCs, RCC, JRCCs, JMRCCs, etc., from various countries in the same region would be members, and this area could be activated at any time. It's like a WhatsApp group already there, and it's only used for emergency. So people don't have to think of, I have to create a community area when the incidents happen. They will already know that when the incident happened, I will share it on the SAR dedicated community area. And this will support coordination mostly between MRCCs, GMRCCs, and other RCCs, but as well with law enforcement agencies like the Coast Guard, the Navy, or whoever is involved in the search during the SAR incident. And it also facilitates information sharing through a common operational picture, because everyone will be able to see wherever the other agency is searching, the search pattern of the other agency. They will be able to see the assets involved of each and every player in the search. Second, compliance with IAM-SAR Volume 2 mission coordination. This here, of course, it will not at all aim to replace or in any way have a competition with anything that's already standing, like the GMDSS, like other SAR operation tools. Like GMDSS will answer the question, who should be notified? The SAR ops, for example, would answer the question, where should I be searching? But Ioris would answer the question of how can we coordinate between all the members who are actively executing the search. So this is the main focus of Ioris SAR, is to create this coordination tools to assist the search parties in their search during the mission. So it has some capabilities, and it will have some capabilities to predict a position through the projection tools, through the dead reckoning and the calculation of algorithm, but it will mostly rely on time elapsed, speed, and course. So it will not take into consideration the characteristics of the vessel, of the man overboard, the wind, the current, etc. So in essence, Ioris SAR would support the implementation of IMSAR Volume 2 by enhancing SAR mission coordination. And this will happen through interagency cooperation, common operational picture management, resource coordination, and regional information exchange between MRCCs and other maritime authorities or maritime law enforcement that are engaged. Third, search and rescue regions, SRR layer. We have been talking about this already for a few years now. SRR layer integrated within Ioris would be of a huge added value and a huge benefit for all the members, because by activating the SRR layer, they would be able to start seeing on the map, just like we activate now the EEZ. When we activate the EEZ, we see the EEZ of each country. Now, what we aim for is to activate the SRR, and then we can show the SRR of each country on the map. And when they activate AIS or they plot a marker on the map or an incident on the map, they see immediately where is it happening, in which search and rescue region. So basically, they know immediately who is the SAR coordinator and which MRCC should be responsible. So this is here just a depiction. This is from Ioris, but what we did here is we created a KML file for the search and rescue region, for example, for Kenya, and we imported it within Ioris. So we found a way around it. Instead of creating a layer, we imported the KML files, but of course we don't have the KML files of the entire globe of all the countries and the search and rescue region of all the countries. And you know already that they are sometimes superposed. There is sometimes not a very well established and drawn borders of SRRs. And now I pass it to Matt again to explain about Solnet and SARI. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Ali. So the last thing that we're exploring at the moment as part of the SAR version of Ioris, if we just have the slide back again. Yeah, put the slide back on. There were slides at the end. There's at the end of Ellie's slides. There was more slides to go. Lovely. So, two things we're going to talk about, Solnet, and the other thing is Task Assist. And these are in process at the moment with a proof of concept already existing. So where we look at a search and rescue event, so we've got the English Channel here, and let's say there is a maritime migration incident. So we've had a boat, we've got multiple people in the water. We have a lot of choice of what vessels we can send right now. Search and rescue units will sometimes take time to mobilize, and as we know within the maritime sector, the commercial shipping sector is usually one of the first responders. Is the first vessel or the nearest vessel to the incident always the best? Usually not. So what we can do is we're able to, for instance, click on a AIS target of a nearest vessel. And the idea is to have a SAR information section, which will give you a red, amber, and green grading for the capacity, the capabilities that this vessel will have. Now, the question we get asked is, how can you know the capacities or the capabilities of 500,000, let's say, vessels? This is where AI comes in and machine learning. We have a system that has been produced which grades vessels based on, for instance, their speed, their draft, their freeboard, number of crew, what medical capability they have. And that framework has been embedded within an AI system that is then able to look at a vessel like this, which is a general cargo ship, less than 100 meters, and it's able to give an estimation, and that is the key word, an estimation of what their capability would be in a search and rescue event to respond. The other side that we look at incorporating is an option like this, where you can put in the latitude and longitude, the range in which you want a vessel to support. You can specify a speed. I want a 20-knot vessel. I want a vessel that has a green speed. Freeboard, it's okay if it's amber. Man overboard recovery, amber. Survivor reception, mass rescue operation from the case that we're talking about here in the English Channel. And what is hoped is that we'll be able to identify vessels that would be of use in a search and rescue event. Task Assist is going to build on that within the future, where actually, through machine learning, as we talked about previously, looking at regional SOPs, looking at national SOPs and standards alongside your conventional IAM, SAR, and best practice, we can feed that in. Incident grade, so we're looking at, in this case, a D, a distress compared to an urgency compared to the other stages that we can have within search and rescue. Again, looking at the range, we can expand the search and rescue unit range so that we're not just looking within a 10-mile range for assisting vessels. If we have dedicated search and rescue units, we can exclude it from the selection. The engine model can be regional specific. We take SOPs, we take all the information, cases and lessons learned from previous SAR incidents and feed it into the model. We can put in the weather, the sea state, visibility and the time. And it is hoped when this is integrated within SolNet that you can get almost a recommendation or, again, another piece of information to help with coordinating that search and rescue operation. So it will be able to identify those vessels within that range, if we go back, and say, actually, this vessel here, it doesn't work, but the vessel that is nearest to that case, we would actually recommend, given the sea conditions, given the visibility, that they proceed to that location and carry out an expanding square search, for instance. But the key thing to remember is this doesn't replace the decision-making that's taken within MRCCs by search mission coordinators. This is just support. It's ideas and it's assistance in what can be sometimes a very difficult situation, very fast-moving. And being able to have that support through the use of technology is what we're talking about when we talk about AI and machine learning. So that's it from me and from our excellent panel. And I believe we will have another Slido, but before then, I want to see around the room and gauge people's thoughts on what functionalities would you like to see within the search and rescue version of Ioris? Anybody have any thoughts, suggestions, comments on what they've seen and how Ioris can be utilized in search and rescue? Don't all put your hands up in one go. Is there any search and rescue operations you've been involved with where you thought it would have been really good to have this within Ioris?
I have a small question.
Please.
With SAR generally comes, with SARs generally you can expect oil spills also. So is there a way to model the extent of oil spill and give inputs to the system as well?
From my side, I don't know. Obviously pollution, we would differentiate between Coast Guard functions of pollution and search and rescue. From a search and rescue perspective, it's that focus on saving life. So from our side and what we're developing currently or looking to develop within the search and rescue version of Ioris, I'm not aware that that's a focus because we'd probably look at that under pollution prevention. And yeah. Totally. Absolutely. Lovely. Any other questions? Any other thoughts? So, over to the Slido then. would you like your organisation to participate in the Ioris SAR variant working group? If you haven't voted already, how many have we got voted so far? 35? I think there's more than 35. I have to say, looking again, we talked about Ioris and its effectiveness, that the SAR model that we're brainstorming at the moment, this is the opportunity to see what you want within that system. So really, if you can get involved, and if you are involved in search and rescue, you'll want to be part of the working group driving this forward. And I believe we'll have the agencies who have responded. We'll have the names. 50. Okay. I'll take 50. Thank you very much. And I'll hand back over to our Master of Ceremonies or yourself. Add a panel picture.
Thank you very much for the insightful conversation on SAR. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, full circle moment, as I invite once again Mr. Martin Kauke-Inglot, Director EU Primario, for the final session of the day. Mr. Martin will moderate the session on Ioris for illegal, unreported, unregulated fishing. Welcome, sir.
Thank you very much, Anna. Good afternoon, all. Aware that we should be ending the session in 10 minutes, and we have a panel of 5. We'll do our best to get it done soonest before our traditional beach barbecue, which I'm sure you will all enjoy. So can I welcome to the stage the panelists from the Madagascar National Maritime Information Sharing Center. We have Andrea Naivo Nirina. From Ecuador, who will be VTC once again, we have Admiral Ramira Armjos. From Alanai, we have got Theo Girard, and once again we have Ellie to show us the way ahead. So we'll start once again with the Slidos. When you're ready to go, let us know. Panama, Aeronaval. Thank you very much. So the first question is your organization involved in monitoring, control, surveillance, and enforcement of fisheries activities? That's the first question. Please go ahead and answer. Oh, that's pretty high. Only 3 answers. Panama, Madagascar, yes. Second question is, what are the current limitations and challenges to your IUU fishing, MCS, and E activities? What are your challenges? Good, you can continue to answer on your phone throughout the session, so I'll kick off and start to save some time. So many of you are questioning why I am on this panel, why I am moderating. Before I joined Cremario, I was a consultant with the UN Food and Agricultural Organization, where I focus on fishing, providing capacity building when it comes to monitoring, control, and surveillance. Thank you, Gladys. So, Ioris, IUU. Truth be told, I think this is the area, out of all the areas we heard today, which has most potential, but we have least success. And I'll come to why we have the least success in this area. But fortunately, in Latin America only, it has taken off. It has taken off, and it is really, really providing examples of what we can do in this area. It's a sensitive area because it's not only about fisheries enforcement, there are also commercial aspects which get involved in this. Okay, there are commercial aspects. And this makes it a bit harder. So, to give you a bit of background, the UNFAO has got what is called the Port States Measures Agreement of 2009. This has been exceptionally successful. And basically what it does, it ensures that blacklisted vessels can't go into ports to discharge their catch if they have been blacklisted. But there is a massive gap. And the gap is what happens to controlling fisheries operations in the high seas. That is a gap. And there's a new UN convention, which is called the Biodiversity Beyond National Jurisdiction, which just came into force, BBNJ. And this is an area where there is a need for MCS. Why? Because whilst fisheries organizations are very good at doing MDA in general, there is the gap with enforcement because they have not got the capabilities. Fisheries do not have the capabilities to do enforcement at sea. And that is dependent on the navies and the coast guards. And it's also a reality that boarding a fishing vessel in rough seas is a challenge, and it's not always very attractive. Whereas when it comes to counter narcotics, for example, that's sexy, that's what the politicians want to hear, right? So fisheries, unfortunately, takes a lower priority. This is my personal opinion. This is what I have experienced. So I'll introduce the panelists already, and I think we can already go to our first panelist. The first panelist is Lieutenant Commander Leonel Rodriguez, and I pass the floor to you. Thank you.
Once again, good afternoon. I will now address our second topic, how Panama National Aeronaval Service use Ioris in the fighting against illegal, unreported, and unregulated fishing. Well, what we know as fishing is, in Spanish, is pesca ilegal, something. Slide, please. Panama Maritime Jurisdiction includes some of the most ecologically and economically valuable fishing zones in the Eastern Pacific. Panama has made a firm national commitment to protecting those areas. Today, 53% of our maritime territory is designated as maritime protected area, nearly double the global benchmark established under the ocean policy, which is called our nation to protect at least the 30% of the seas by the 2030. That is not a statistic. We display a poster. It is a commitment we enforce on our water every day with our patrol craft and maritime patrol aircraft, our intelligence network, and our interagency and partnerships in Panama. Ioris is the platform that makes that enforcement possible in real time. What I want to show you today is that Ioris has become the integral part of that effort, not just at the command level, but also on the operational level, including a brood of patrol vessels and aircraft in the sea. I will walk through the institutional coordination architecture, show you how Ioris connect agencies in real time, and present a concrete success case this year that took place inside of our protected zones. Slide, please. Some of the context of our operational footprint within Ioris for counter IUU activities. Senan has engaged multiple naval assets and maritime patrol aircraft with these platforms, conducting maritime patrols, boarding operations, and coordinated responses effectively. This approach is that Ioris connectivity does not stop at the shore operation centers. It extends to our assets at sea. This means that when of our units detects a suspicious fishing vessel, the alert, the position data, and boarding result enter the shared network in real time, giving partner agencies immediate visibility. Ioris bridges the gap between the vessel, patrol boat, maritime patrol aircraft, and the regional monitoring operation centers community. The sailors conduct the boarding and the analyzed in the different places and different centers can be the working from the same operational picture simultaneously. In Panama, the aeronaval, the ARAP, which is the fisheries authorities, the maritime authorities, and Mi Ambiente, who is the Ministry of Environment, has the platform which brings the common operational picture. Slide, please. This year in March, Senan conducted maritime patrol coordination with Panama Ministry of Environment, Mi Ambiente, deploying the naval vessel L306 Taboga and 2 patrol craft, small patrol craft. During the patrol, our unit locate and intercept the fishing vessel El Phoenix, which is in the picture, 10 meters Panamanian flagged vessel with a crew of 5. The vessel was encountered at the Special Maritime Protected Zone in Coiba, conducting active fishing operation and require a special permission area. The result was 367 kilograms of maritime products seized. What this case illustrates the complete operational loop that Ioris enabled patrol deployment in real-time operation with a civilian partner agency as Mi Ambiente or Maritime Environment, and the result become a part of the regional record. Next slide, please. Next one. Yes, I close the highlight is something that may not visibly, in this case, static alone, the institutional breadth, the Panama Ioris Network for Fisheries Enforcement. Senan does not operate isolation. Counter IUU operation in Panama involve coordinate between services like the Ministry of Environment, Aquatic Authority, Maritime Resources, and Senan has led this kind of operation. This is the end of my presentation. Next one, please. Thank you for your...
Next, we have the presentation from Madagascar. Over to you, sir.
Thank you, sir. Good afternoon, everyone. So this evening, I'm going to present a case study during RICA operation in 2023. This operation was conducted under the regional maritime security architecture in the East Africa and Indian Ocean, during which RCOC, RMIFC, the Madagascar Navy, and also one frigate from UNA 4 participated. During this operation, Ioris was used to link the maritime operation centers and the units at sea. And also it was used to link all the units between them along with HF and VHF. Ioris allowed to ensure exchange of information between the MOCs and the assets, and also it was also used to give tasks to the assets and also assign area of operation for those assets during that operation. So when we noticed a dark vessel on skylight imagery, we directed a Malagasy patrol vessel to identify the type of that dark vessel. So when it arrived on scene, it saw this Sri Lankan fishing vessel named Sri Denwan. When boarded, they found on board 84 shark fins, yeah, shark fins, and 800 kilos of fresh fish. They decided to divert the vessel to port of Nosy Bay. After that, the vessel was sued and condemned to pay severe fines. So to conclude my presentation, Ioris served as reliable communication tools during that operation, and it maintained communication between the MOCs and the ships as it was normally. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Andrea. The next we should have Admiral Ramiro Armonjos coming back on VTC. Unfortunately, the Admiral had to withdraw from his participation at the very last minute because there was an ugly incident in the port of Guayaquil, I believe it was. But have we got the Admiral online yet? If not, we can move to the next presentation. You tell me. He's online. Very good. Admiral, can you hear us?
Oh.
Okay, we're ready to go. I'm not seeing him yet. Okay, Admiral, over to you.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, loud and clear.
Can
Go
you
ahead.
hear me? Loud and clear. Okay, thank you. Sorry. Okay, good afternoon, everyone. To everyone, please, we'd like to introduce you to this exercise, the Galapex 4th edition 2026. Now, can you hear me? Please confirm.
Confirmed, yes, go ahead.
All right. Okay, thank you. So, slide, please. This is a multidimensional exercise, which is an strategic initiative. Slide, please. Next slide. This is a strategic initiative of the Ecuadorian state, which is strengthening maritime security, international cooperation, and protection of marine living resources in the Eastern Pacific. And it is related to increase, because of the increasing of illegal at sea. We're talking about IW fishing, which represents a direct and systemic threat to biodiversity, to the regional economy, and maritime governance. Slide. We're talking about the Galapagos and a background related to natural world heritage. Of course, it has a huge area of sea life, and it has an unique biodiversity that with the convergence of the ocean currents. Next slide, please. You can see in the next slide how the Galapagos Islands is connected with the Pacific region sea life. First of all, we have this Eastern Tropical Pacific Marine Corridor that connects Costa Rica, Panama, Colombia, Ecuador, and the Galapagos Island, but that also affects the whole Pacific region, including Peru, Chile, and the Pacific. Also, this economic exclusive zone has fishing activities that are strategically concentrated in areas adjacent to the Galapagos Island exclusive zone. What's the modus operandi of these fleets? We have a triple threat. First of all, they use organized distance water fleets. They use huge vessels that has capacity for operations in open seas. They have factories. They have fishing, huge vessels that fish squid, giant squid, and also other species. For example, we have sees them fishing sharks nearby the Galapagos zone. That is one example. And they try also to exploit the loopholes of the regulatory system of the maritime governance. So this is a huge threat we are facing, not just Ecuador, but the whole Eastern Pacific. And we have to be clear that the Galapagos life sea ecosystem is connected to the whole world, so this balance could be loose in time. Next slide, please. We have had this exercise in 4 editions. The first one was in 2020, and it was a virtual exercise through the internet. But in 2023, we had the second Galapagos, which was using a planning staff, assets, and some countries participated. And then we had the 3rd edition in 2024. And this year we have the 4th edition. I will explain to you how this is going to be carried out. Next slide, please. About the operation concept of the Galapagos. Next slide, please. General objective of the Galapagos is to strengthen interoperability of a multinational task force on the high seas, projecting the international community a regional image, not only regional, but international, of unity, cooperation, and active presence through trying to deter these illegal fishing fleets that are violating the regulatory laws of fishing. Next slide, please. If we're talking about specific objectives we're trying to achieve for the participants, maritime safety and security, high seas boarding inspection exercises, crisis management and response, also handling the rules of use of force. Next slide, please. And the mission of the exercise is that a multinational task force will conduct maritime security exercises in the maritime area surrounding the Galapagos Island from August 17th to September the 2nd of 2026 in order to train members of the participating navies and Coast Guard services in action aimed to prevent, deter, and combat illegal, unreported, and unregulated IW fishing and its related illicit activities. We are talking also about drug trafficking because sometimes the Pacific region has also that threat. Next slide, please. Some of the assets that are going to participate in this Galapagos 2026, I can show you from the Ecuadorian Navy some assets, one missile corvette and some cutters, medium-sized cutters, but also auxiliary ships, as you can see on the slide. We're gonna use also one MPA, Maritime Patrol aircraft, and one helicopter, not two, one helicopter, and some assets from other countries. We are really, really grateful with Peru, the Peruvian Navy and the Colombian Navy for being participating with us since the beginning of the Galapagos. And this year we will be glad to welcome a Álvaro Bazán frigate from the Spanish Navy. So that shows that this exercise is growing and growing. Next slide, please. Next slide. Please. Next one, next slide. That is more clear than this. I'm gonna show you the operation area and also the dates. We're gonna start from the Manta port where I am now, and that's gonna be the replenishment needs. Then we're going to the Salinas port and depart to cross the Pacific to reach the Galapagos Islands, and we are gonna do the World Cup phase, which are exercises, controlled exercises during this transit. We're going to the first island, San Cristobal, Puerto Vaquerizo Moreno. There's gonna be also a replenishment port, and then we're gonna do an stationary phase at the north of the Galapagos, and we're gonna finish the whole exercise in September the 2nd in Puerto Ioris, Santa Cruz, the other island you can see at the west. Next slide, please. How we use Ioris for the Galapagos. Since the beginning, we have been using the platform. One objective is to have a real-time communication with other navies, especially with the Peruvian Navy, Colombian Navy, and the region countries. And also, we use it to create some simulation to keep track of suspicious targets or vessels, fishing vessels, that we are going to act with the multinational fleet. And this year, we expect to also, again, to use the Ioris platform on that issue. That will explain the presentation for the Ecuadorian Navy. Thank you very much.
Thank you
And
very
just to
much.
finish.
Thank you, Admiral. Well
Just to finish,
received.
please.
Thank you.
Yeah, just to finish one thing. One more thing is we invite all the foreign nations concerned for illegal fishing and food security to join us in this exercise, either with observers, officers, or assets like warships or Coast Guard vessels. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Admiral. Well received. So we now look towards where we want to go with artificial intelligence, Ioris development in the last session. So I invite Theo Girard from Alenai, who provide the famous skylight system to give the presentation. Thank you, Theo.
Thank you, Martin. Excellencies, it's a pleasure to be speaking before all of you today. I'll be quick because I know I'm the last speaker, but I just wanted to extend my gratitude to the Cremario team and to the Kenya Coast Guard Service for the invitation. It's great to see so many friends from a past life today. So for those of you who don't know me, next slide, please. My name is Theo and I work with Skylight. So Skylight is a non-profit research, AI research program implemented by the Allen Institute for Artificial Intelligence, which is also one of the leading AI non-profit research organization today. And our objective with Skylight is really to develop the MDA technologies of tomorrow, in particular the ones that can support the fight against illegal fishing. Next slide, please. So we now have a long-standing collaboration with Cremario program, notably through the integration of our data directly through Cremario. So what you see here are dark vessel detections that have been detected by our computer vision models integrated into the Ioris platform. But today, next slide, please. Martin wanted me to talk about a project we're working on, which is called Hippie, which we're introducing to you today. So Hippie is kind of delving into the next frontier of AI applications to maritime domain awareness, which is the development of specialized large language models capable of leveraging a maritime specific data set. So you've all heard of LLMs, you know, through ChatGPT, Gemini, Claude. The question is, how can we make this LLM more efficient and, I dare to say, safer to use for maritime specific use cases? So Hippie is basically a conversational assistant, which is designed to answer this big maritime query, notably the one that would take maybe hours for an analyst to compile. So you could ask, how many fishing events in the Kenya EEZ over the last 6 months, and please deliver this insight as a graph so we can see the trend, and it's going to do that. So typically an example of what it is able to do. So the objective with this type of capability is to help automate data fusion and interpretation of large volumes of data sets to support decision-making more efficiently. Next slide, please. And this type of work matters because in the specific applications of LLM to MDA, there's actually a lot of risks to take into consideration. You're probably already using Gemini, ChatGPT for maybe some questions around maritime law enforcement. And I don't know if you've been faced with what we call hallucination, but one of the primary limitations of LLMs today is that they always want to be right. They're always going to give you an answer. And then you tell them, well, no, this is wrong. They say, oh, yes, I'm sorry. I've been wrong. You did. Here is another answer, which might be wrong as well, right? So this is really all the engineering work that we're trying to do is to make sure that these LLMs, next slide, please, are set with guardrails. This is really the hard part of the work we are doing. So guardrails in terms of scope, so that it only answers maritime specific queries, in terms of judgment, you know, so that it never makes an assumption or a judgment call on a specific data it has encountered. Also on honesty, so knowing when to say, I don't know, right? And source attribution as well. So making sure that whatever it says, you know, is encoded into data that you can manually analyze and verify. Next slide, please. This LLM, of course, is embedded into an infrastructure that allows it to use proprietary maritime data sets. So it has access to real-time AS feed. It has access to all the satellite imagery that Skylight compiles. And here's an example of the kind of insight the Skylight ecosystem already generate, and that Shippy is able to process for large volumes, for large queries. Next slide, please. And this is an example of how it looks. I was planning to make a demo, but with the internet connection today, so maybe I'm not going to risk it, but if you want a demo, I can show you from my computer in the next 2 days, because it is working. Next slide. And here is some cool visuals, actually, that Shippy was able to generate. So the first one is a graph that shows change in AIS activity in the Strait of Hormuz before and after the current US-Iran situation that we know. This is a map that shows dark target in the Senegalese EZ, so something you can integrate into a report very easily. And here's a CSV file of, I think it's entries into specific areas of interest based on AI signals. So everything processed within minutes by the system. Next slide. And I'm done. So the idea is we're starting to roll out a Shippy first with some partners that are helping us to do that. But this is really going to be let's say a collaborative process for us, because you know better what you need and what are the kind of expectation and requirements that we need to build when the system for this to be meaningful to your work as well. So we'll be reaching out to you to help us get feedbacks, understand what works, what doesn't work. It's really a learning process for us. And I will say, just to finish, I think it's also going to be a learning process for you as agencies and users, because we anticipate that a lot of trainings in AI literacy will be needed to effectively use this kind of tools. I think I can say that today, I actually made a test with the US Navy 2 weeks ago with like a query where there was an hallucination. They were not able to pick it up, which shows that, it's hard. It's actually very hard to pick this hallucination, and we need training around that. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Dale. And the last presentation for today is Ellie, once again. Show us the way in terms of where we think we are going with the IUU fishing variant for Ioris. Thanks.
Thank you. I'll be very quick. So the Ioris, it's switched off. Okay, so the fish variant. Again, we talked about chip, port, SAR, and now Ioris fish, which is the Ioris IUU fishing variant. We will discuss the regional IUU fishing community area, the PSMA compliance, marine protected areas layer, and enhanced Skylight API for fisheries monitoring. First, the regional IUU fishing community area. Again, it's a community area that is already created, ready, active. Members and fisheries monitoring centers are already in it. So whenever something happens that requires regional coordinations, they know where to go. They know to which community area they have to access, and they have to send their alerts to. So for SAR, they go to the regional SAR community area. For IUU, they go directly to the thematic community area that answers the IUU challenges. The PSMA compliance. So the port state measures, here in the port state measures agreement, there is Article 5, Article 16, Article 18. Article 5 is mostly that requires the compliance from the flag state. When the port state requires information about or inquires about information about a certain fishing vessel requesting entry into port or reporting a catch or something, that would request the flag state to answer the call. And this could happen through Ioris. And Article 16 and 18, they specifically encourage flag states and port state to communicate with each other and exchange information through digital platforms. So Ioris could be one of those platforms that facilitate this communication. So digitalization of PSMA annex information, sharing pre-arrival notifications, inspection reports, and enforcement actions, annex DNE, through the dedicated community areas. Third, marine protected areas. As we said in search and rescue, we could create a layer that shows all the SRRs of all the countries in Ioris. Now, in fisheries, we could create a layer that shows all the MPAs. I know there's thousands of them. There are a lot of MPAs, but there is some websites, some very, very, very effective websites that shows all the MPAs worldwide. And we could implement this and add it here as an, just a second. So as a, that's Skylight. That's different. Sorry. So maybe it's switched. Let me go after Skylight. Yes, it's switched. So this is the MPAs. The overlays in Ioris are ESD and nautical map. We could add SRR for the SAR, and we could add MPAs layer for the Ioris fish. When we activate it, we could see like the marine protected areas in each region worldwide. Now going back to the last point, which is the enhanced Skylight API for fisheries monitoring. This is how the Skylight API looks like right now in Ioris. It shows us AIS correlated vessels, AIS correlated events, fishing events, standard rendezvous, and dark rendezvous. But we could now enhance this API within the limitation of the API itself. So Shippy, for example, what was already explained by Teo right now, is not yet included in the API. It's still in the testing phase. And a lot of other functionalities in Skylight are not included in the API. But there's other things that can be included in the API, which is the link between the two platforms that will allow the integration. So that is where we are aiming to enhance the link between both platforms to include right now, to include a time filter, for example, for Skylight events. Right now on Ioris, we only see the last 24 hours. So maybe see the 24, 48, 72, and up to 1 month events of Skylight within Ioris, and enhance the filtering and vessel information of all the correlated vessels in on the Skylight layer, and also enhance the information about possible dark rendezvous vessels. So dark rendezvous are one vessel emitting AIS, one vessel not. So the system could suggest which vessel could be around in vicinity that might be involved in the dark rendezvous. So this is how we see the vessel right now. That would add some buttons, additional buttons to the vessel information of Skylight layer. Now, Markham app for fishers. For the Markham app for fishers, again, we discussed the Markham app for seafarers. Now the Markham app can serve also the fishers. And this is how also we envisaged that a fisherman would log into his account on Markham. They would have few options how to report safety incidents, fisheries incidents, position and catch, etc. And this is again an AI-generated screenshot of how we plan the Markham app to become. The Markham app, the purpose is a dedicated maritime reporting application interfaced with Ioris. It provides an accessible and structured mechanism to connect fishers to responsible maritime authorities. The access for fishers that will include the reporting of safety incidents, reporting of fisheries incidents like illegal fishing, compliance issues, etc., and tracking of live position, reporting catch, low connectivity environment, offline data synchronization, and direct communication with authorities. And here I want to emphasize on the tracking of live position and the offline data. Even if the fisherman, the fisher boat, is off network, they don't have access to internet anymore, the app will keep recording all the positions in the cache of the device. So when the device is back online, all the position will be tracked and they will be reported as a trace history of the vessel. In the benefits, faster communication between fishers at sea and responsible authorities, improved response to maritime safety and fisheries and welfare incidents, enhanced reporting of IUU fishing and fisheries compliance issues, and at the end, automatic routing of reports to the appropriate maritime authority based on user profile and registration. That we discuss, of course, later with the Markham app development. So Markham app for seafarers, for fishers, and for recreational boaters. Tracking of that position.
Thank you, Ali. Over enthusiastic as always. So, in the interest of winning time, because we're around half an hour over time, so may I ask the Slido questions to be brought up? The good news is these are the last ones of the day. And whilst they are being brought up, I will draw some conclusions. So the first one, do you think Ioris can support IUU fishing monitoring, control and surveillance and enforcement activities? That's the first question. In the meantime, I'll start drawing some conclusions. First of all, we had Panama. I went to Panama last March. I've been to many countries, all do excellent interagency, but the best interagency I have seen to date, I have to take my hats off to Panama. It is out of this world. The second point I want to raise is regarding Madagascar, where we had a good example of how not only national, but also using multinational forces with the support of EU to Atalanta, fishing vessels were tracked, intercepted, and interdicted. When it came to Galapex, I also had the opportunity to witness the exercise in 2024. I have to say that it is the most prominent IUU exercise I have witnessed, I know. Assets from all over Latin America, liaison officers also from outside Latin America, and I look forward to supporting Galapex with Cremario in 2026 as well. When it comes to Skylight, thank you, Theo. This is one of our strongest partnerships we have to date. The interface between Skylight and Ioris has proved very, very beneficial to many actors, and we only got praise, and we look forward to building this continued partnership. Thank you, Theo. Have we got the next question for the... Next question is, would you like to participate in the Ioris Fish Variant Working Group? So that's for you to answer. In the meantime, I'll give another small story. Micronesia, a very small island in the Pacific, thanks to a functionality on Ioris where you can calculate intercepts of patrol boats and, in this case, fishing vessels. There was a case where Chinese fishing vessels were interdicted, fishing illegally. They were fined $2 million. $2 million is the cost to run Ioris for 3 years, just from that one incident, to show you the cost benefits value that Ioris brings to the game. Okay, is this the last slide? The last slide, oh? Yes, thank you very much. I will conclude with some words on the Ioris variants. So at the moment, Ioris is a general purpose tool, right? Everyone uses the same platform. The question is, the issue is that there are many functionalities that different communities need. The ports need certain functionalities, for search and rescue need certain function, and you can't fit all those into one screen. So this is why we're going down the road of the Ioris variants. It's the same Ioris, but by pressing Ioris Fish or Ioris Ports or IS, all you're doing is changing the functionalities on the same screen. But if I'm on Ioris Fish and you're using Ioris Ports, we can still speak to each other. We're just changing the way the functionalities are displayed. I'll conclude here for today. I'll hand the floor back to Alex, and I look forward to seeing you all at the barbecue. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Martin. Don't leave without the picture. We don't have photographs anymore? Yes, we have. Okay, thank you very much, Martin, and the speakers. Now, last announcement before we finish the day. As we suggested, tomorrow we start at 8:45. Because we are very limited in time tomorrow due to the departure of the buses for the social event, the buses should leave at 12:45, the maximum. So that means we have to eat before, right? So our suggestion to you tomorrow, please come in a casual or very casual, but not shorts and flip-flops, please, here. And then we leave from here directly to the lunch and then directly to the buses. If you want to change in the shorts in the meantime, between here and the lunch, you are free, but you reduce your window for the lunch. For the lunch, we only plan for 45 minutes, by the way. So again, due to limitations. Now I will hand over to Anna to tell you about what we plan to do in the social program. Anna, please.
Thank you very much. So Kenya Coast Guard Service, under the leadership of our DG, of course, has organized 2 fun events. So the first event will be at the Fort Jesus Museum, where we will have a guided tour of the 16th century fortress, which is a UNESCO World Heritage Site. Immediately after, we will go to Halapak, which is an ecologically restored former quarry that features animals, where we will also have another guided tour, and the delegates will get a chance to feed a few of the animals on site. At the second site, again, we will have a tree planting session. So it is very important to remember that we carry with us our identification documents, passports, for ease of movement within the 2 sites. Thank you.
Thank you, Anna. So if you have questions, you can ask your Primario regional representatives during the dinner. But now I will not continue to keep you here. You are free to go. And we meet at what hour, Leticia? Yeah, okay. Yeah.
Dinner is served at 7:30 on the beach. So you can come with flip-flops. And so the beach, you have to go to the Infinity Bar deck where we were yesterday, and then on the left, you go down and there's a beach. Sorry? There is a map of the hotel facilities in the application. So if you're not, you can look for your way in the application. See you for dinner.
Okay, see you tonight, everybody. Thank you very much for your attention today. Bye-bye.